Hi, I'm Natalie. Thank you for stopping by. I sell vintage and pre-loved designer accessories at styledunder.com. My channel is all about sustainability, slow fashion, as well as health and wellness. If this is your first time here, welcome. I drop videos 2 days a week, every Mondays and Wednesdays, so go ahead and hit that subscribe.
Today we're talking about foods to eat that help with managing flare-ups of lupus and foods to avoid that can actually cause flare-ups. So this information that I'm about to share is information that I learned after I met with a licensed and registered dietitian. You can't always control, when and how you're gonna have a flare-up, but there's some things that you can do to help minimize the risk. So that's basically what this is about, and we're focusing specifically on food. So first, let's get into the good stuff. What are some of the things that us lupis can eat that can help us with managing flare-ups? The first thing is to eat foods that are high in antioxidants. Antioxidants are good for fighting toxins in the body. So anything that you eat that can fight toxins is a good thing. Antioxidants fight against inflammation, and they also fight against any cell degeneration. So any type of cell damage that is happening when you eat a lot of antioxidants, you're basically counteracting that, which is a good thing, especially when your body struggles with inflammation and healthy tissues being attacked. It helps to kind of regenerate those tissues, rebuild them, and heal them. Generally, foods that are high in vitamin A, B, and E are going to be very good for us, and that's generally fruits and vegetables. Nuts, legumes, oats, granola, black teas, and green teas. As you can see, foods that are high in antioxidants are definitely going to be like more vegan-based type of foods. The other thing is eating foods that are high in calcium. I mentioned in my last video, and I'm going to attach it here so you can go and check it out, some of the side effects that come with high use of steroids with lupus. And one of them is how it affects your calcium level or your calcium intake in your body. One of the good things that we can do as lupis is to make sure that we're eating a lot of foods that have calcium, not only because of the steroids, but because the lupus itself also affects our calcium intake. People who live with lupus have a greater chance of developing illnesses that come from bones that are degenerating, whether it's osteoporosis or osteopenia. It's very difficult to maintain a healthy level of calcium between the medication, which reduces your calcium level, and the disease itself, which reduces your calcium level. So your only recourse, your only point of intervention is really to look into foods and how to replenish the calcium that's being taken away from the disease and the treatment, through your diet. I do want to say, back to the conversation about veganism, that dairy products typically are very high in calcium. However, dairy products come with cardiovascular risk, that can sometimes increase your risk of heart disease. And the reason for that is because they're high in saturated fat and high in cholesterol. So if you are someone that eats dairy, again, I'm not trying to tell you what to eat, I'm just sharing information. But if you're someone that eats dairy, you just want to keep that in the back of your mind, that because these foods are high in saturated fat and cholesterol, it increases your risk of heart disease or heart condition. Tofu is a great source of calcium, as well as dark green vegetables. Like I eat a lot of spinach. Spinach is one of my favorite dark greens. I also like colored greens. I also like turnip greens. I basically like hearty greens, like the more rich and dark. Like I love it. Just steam it, put some seasoning on it. It's just good to go. And it's very filling. If you're not familiar with tofu or how to cook it, I know it looks like gross and slimy for a lot of people, but once you learn how to make it, you can make tofu into anything, and it's so good. And if you're not comfortable with it, maybe you can first try to buy it from a restaurant to see how they make it, preferably in the flavor that you already like. Let's say, for instance, you like, sweet and sour chicken as an example at a Chinese restaurant. Maybe next time you go to that Chinese restaurant, you try sweet and sour tofu and see how you like it. Beans are also a great way to incorporate calcium into your body. And there's so many different types of beans, and you can have beans for breakfast, you can have them for lunch, you can have them for dinner, you can even make patties with them. Beans are super versatile, super fun, easy to cook. And, it doesn't have to be boring. You can, find different ways to make it fun. Lastly, foods that are high in omega-3 are going to be good for us because food that are high in omega-3 reduce inflammation. In addition, they also improve cardiovascular health, which is another good thing. And they improve your mood. So 3 good things that are going on here with foods that are high in omega-3s. Some of these foods are nuts and legumes, edamames, walnut, kidney beans. All those things are really good. Chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, I eat all of that. I like to put them on top of my smoothie bowl or on top of my meal. Seaweed and algae are also very good. I love the seaweed sheets. I like to have those for snack. It's a good way to just kind of quickly get it in there. And I like sushi, so that goes right along with that flavor. If you don't like sushi, you may not like seaweed, but that's something that I would recommend if you like sushi. So while I know that there's no magic bullet to this whole diet thing with lupus, diet is definitely not something that I minimize because your food is your fuel. And when your system is compromised, your immune system is compromised, then you want to pay a little bit more attention to what you're fueling your body with because your body is a lot more sensitive than somebody whose immune system may not be compromised. The risk of having a heart attack is 50 times higher for people that are living with lupus. There are some foods out there that are well known to be linked to cardiovascular disease and to increase the risk of cholesterol and saturated fat. And those are red meats, fried foods, and dairy foods. So these 3 things, fried foods, red meats, and dairy foods, come with some risk of high cholesterol and high saturated fat, which is not good for the heart. If you have lupus, then you want to try to avoid these things to help reduce your risk. Now, speaking of avoiding things, let's move on to talk about foods to avoid. So luckily, the list here isn't very long. The main thing is garlic. And I know garlic seems shocking to a lot of people because garlic has been associated with, a lot of health benefits for a lot of people. I grew up eating a lot of garlic and I love garlic. And that was one of actually the foods that was really hard for me to give up. Garlic, even though it has a lot of health benefits, there is a substance inside of it that boosts your white blood cell count. And normally that would be a good thing for your white blood cell count to be boosted because the white blood cells fight against invasion, against diseases. For those of us who have lupus though, what happens when we eat garlic is that it charges up our immune system, where it revs up the system to fight diseases, right? And once our immune system is revved up, it causes flare-ups. If you eat a small amount of garlic here and there, that may not be a big deal. Garlic is good for fighting off diseases, but when your body has lupus and it naturally fights itself, when you give it more jolt, it's not good. It just goes in overdrive and it does too much. So that's why garlic is something that we want to avoid. The only second item to avoid is Echinacea. And Echinacea is an herbal that is part of the daisy family. Typically, you're going to find it in supplements that are meant to boost your immune system to help prevent colds. Like natural supplements to help prevent colds, that sort of thing. So it's going to be more in the list of ingredients. If you're ever purchasing any supplements that are designed to keep cold or the flu away or a seasonal illness away, you want to look at the ingredients to see if Echinacea is one of them. And that herb, again, with its intent to boost your immune system, revs up your immune system, which then can lead to flare-ups. So in general, people like us who have autoimmune conditions, anything that boosts the immune system or revs up the immune system is not going to be something that's good for us with our condition. So that's all that I have for today with regards to what I learned from speaking with my registered dietitian about foods to eat and foods to avoid. Now, I'm not a dietitian, so if you have specific questions about your foods, then you want to talk with your doctor or consult a dietitian of your own to get some feedback. But I wanted to share this information because I know for a lot of people, flare-ups is a big part of our lives for those of us who live with lupus. And I think it's helpful to know, what can trigger flare-ups and what can help keep flare-ups at bay. If you have any questions, leave them in the box below. I'll be happy to answer them within what we discussed today.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to my channel for videos every Mondays and Wednesdays. You can shop my pre-loved and vintage designer accessories at styledunder.com and connect with me on social media at styledunder25. Until next time, take care of yourself. Au revoir.